So, 2024 is almost at an end. TGA has been and gone, which means that there is no more major video game reveals or announcements happening for the remainder of this year. We know that we didn't receive anything to do with Kingdom Hearts at TGA. No more Final Frontier, no more Saving Grace. The great Kingdom Hearts drought of 2024 is a very real thing. My god, I still find it insane to think that, like, back in 2022, thinking, yeah, you know, like, by at least, at the earliest, the end of 2023, we should know more about the game. Holy shit,
we were stupid.
It's not like we've gone completely without this year, though. We have had some things, like Kingdom Hearts on Steam. I mean, the games were already on PC, but Steam is the preferable PC platform, so that was kind of cool to see. We did get the second Kingdom Hearts Missing Link beta, and through that we got some new story cutscenes, so that was kind of nice. That is some pretty big Kingdom Hearts content right there, even though Kingdom Hearts Missing Link got delayed out of 2024. And of course, we got the actually quite depressing update from Tetsuya Nomura, basically saying that, yeah, you know, like in the coming years, he's looking at retiring, and the Kingdom Hearts series will likely come to an end. 2024 has been miserable for Kingdom Hearts, man. Get me out of here! However, though, TGA actually made me realize something about Square Enix. There was no new Square Enix announcements or any games to be revealed for 2025, other than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming to PC early next year. Super cool, but it's a game that's already out, right? So right now, for 2025, we've got Dragon Quest 1 and 2 2D HD Remake, Rebirth on PC, and 2 mobile games as far as Square Enix's roadmap for 2025 goes. That's great for DQ fans, and, like, I'm obviously excited for Missing Link, of course, but wait, what? Like, what's going on at Square Enix for a company that loves to talk about their games and generally reveal them way too early? It is super out of the ordinary not to know what's coming out next year for the company. You would have thought that there would be at least one big Square Enix reveal at TGA, but literally nothing. What is going on? But thinking about this, it kind of brought me back to the information that we heard about Square Enix at the beginning of the year. We know that new leadership took place, a brand new Square Enix president stepped in, along with a brand new business direction, new focus points for the company, and a lot of restructuring. We got the news that Square Enix are going to have a large multi-platform focus, ton of in-development projects that Square Enix didn't see to be profitable, that would make the money back. Those were all cancelled. Square are also going to be a little bit more selective on game projects going forward into the future, with less quantity but more quality. And all of these changes are a direct result of how the HD games department of Square, so looking at big AAA titles or console games in AA space, have not been that profitable for the company over the past few years. It's only thanks to the likes of something like Final Fantasy XIV, along with the mobile games department, that's actually generating profit for Square Enix. We also got that really interesting report from Takashi Mochizuki, who is a reporter at Bloomberg, who mentioned not only that the sales for Rebirth and Final Fantasy XVI fell short of expectations, which is now being confirmed, but also that investors have concerns for the Square Enix pipeline as they've become too empty, and no big titles can lift up the company's top line over the next couple of years. Knowing this information from Takashi, as well as what's already been publicly said by Square Enix about the company, it's actually not surprising that we don't know what's going on right now. It's not to say that Square Enix is on dire straits or anything, but there's been a lot going on internally at the company over this past year. And it's interesting because this new business plan from Square is known as Reboot and Reawaken, so it's kind of like with the quiet period that's kind of going on with the company, even considering this year it's been relatively quiet other than Rebirth. DQ3 actually did pretty well too, but still, again, relatively quiet. I would say we're in the reboot phase as of right now, with all the changes that are currently going on, especially the quietness towards the Kingdom Hearts series, and just projects in general. It kind of makes you think, are Square Enix actually starting to learn about when the right time is to actually announce their projects. This tells us, like, with nothing being revealed at TGA, they're clearly not in a position to be able to show what they're currently working on. That's at least one theory, because the second theory here is it obviously costs to show your game, display a trailer at these events. I think it's something like 200,000 for like 2 minutes, 300,000, so on and so forth. It costs money considering the exposure an event like this generates. One thing that we have noticed in recent times is that a lot of publishers and developers are actually taking it into their own hands to do their own presentation. Effectively, it's a lot cheaper, though of course you are missing out on the mass amounts of exposure by simply just hosting your own thing. Still, is this something that Square Enix are looking at doing? Because recently, I have actually heard a little tidbit of information. Take this with a grain of salt, but this has come from a source of mine. Again, keep them anonymous. But I have heard that the reason why Square Enix were absent from Summer Games Fest along with the Game Awards is because they are planning to start doing their own showcases, with one happening in February. At some point, Square are going to need to step forward to say, hey, this is our roadmap for 2025. And looking at an event of their own in February does actually make a lot of sense. Now, of course, I'm not going to put all of my eggs in one basket. I'll believe it when I see it, but we should, if it is going to happen, get an official announcement maybe sometime early February. It's been a long time, though, since Square Enix have done their own presentation. Back in the day, these used to be known as Square Enix Presents, so maybe, possibly, they're bringing back Square Enix Presents. This would definitely have to be a first for the company, though, going into a brand new year, not knowing what big games are coming out in that next coming year. With announcements and reveals, it's very unusual behavior, but again, are they changing their ways? Are we actually starting to see the effects of the new business plan taking place? Although originally I was confident about 2024 because I don't think many people would have thought that this year would be so quiet for Kingdom Hearts 4, a game that was revealed back in 2022. I am definitely confident about 2025. Missing Link is one thing, but Kingdom Hearts 4, I think by the end of that year, we should absolutely have our next look at the game, along with an idea as to exactly where it is in development. And again, as I was saying recently, I believe that Square Enix are waiting to re-reveal Kingdom Hearts 4 when they know it can release within a year's space, so that it isn't a repeat of Kingdom Hearts 3, going year after year, getting maybe one trailer at best per year, leading up to that eventual 2019 release. That was just strenuous, and I don't think we're going to be going through the same thing yet again. Because if they had released a trailer back in 2023, and then maybe another one in 2024, and then maybe like 2 more in 2025, but then they said, but the game's not coming out until 2026, it would again be a repeat of that strenuous wait cycle of Kingdom Hearts 3. It's better to re-reveal the game when you know exactly when it's coming out and within about 300 odd days. We know that the Kingdom Hearts team has been cooking. Right now, we also know that the Final Fantasy VII Remake team are cooking up Part 3. We also found out this year that Yoko Taro is hard at work on his new project, and that sometime in the near future we should hear about it. Could this be a 2025 release? And there is that whole Final Fantasy IX Remake situation. Still to this day, it has not been announced. We don't actually know if it is actually happening. We're just going off the basis that it was on the NVIDIA Games list leak. It should be a real thing, but until Square Enix actually step forward to announce it themselves, we don't know. We've also had some small rumblings of a potential Final Fantasy XIII Trilogy remaster, considering this is the only numerical mainline Final Fantasy game that hasn't received a remaster. Totally wouldn't surprise me if this is something for 2025. But I feel like it's that whole like quiet before the storm. It's very unusual right now that Square Enix have nothing in the pipeline. The investor information though is a little bit concerning, just with the mention of there isn't any big titles coming out in the next couple of years. But it's kind of like we're starting to see that there isn't really anything on the horizon, or at least as of right now, from what we know publicly. I do think, though, that a lot of the changes that have gone on at Square Enix throughout this year have been much needed. Clearly, over the past few years, there have been a lot of wasted resources being used on projects that are just blatantly not successful and could have been better applied elsewhere. And considering the company's earnings in this specific department of the company looking at console games, yes, something absolutely needs to change. Now guys, that's all for today. I am confident that 2025 is going to be a good year, but of course only time will tell. I'm also intrigued to see what happens in February. Either way, Square Enix won't want to wait too long for not just their audience's sake, but also the investors' sake too. In the next 3 months, we should hopefully have an idea as to what's going on for next year in terms of Square Enix. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to leave your opinions in the comment section down below and slap that like button. Sub to the channel if you haven't already. A big thank you to my wonderful patrons. I hope you're all having a fantastic day and we'll talk real soon.